for Ben to hit record. I'm good? Alright. Melvin, lay down. Lay down. It's kind of like you guys at the end of the day, doesn't really want to do anything. Well, my name is Odie Lofton. I'm a friend of Ben's. I am affiliated with two major groups. I am legally blind, and I'm affiliated with two groups, the Iowa Department for the Blind, and I'm also on the Speakers Bureau for Guide Dogs for the Blind. Guide Dogs is located in the San Francisco area of California, and I'll get to how I got Philbin and his training in just a little bit. I'd like to tell you guys just a little bit more about myself. I have been considered visually impaired since I was born. I was actually born without the ability to see completely, and the doctors were able to do some stuff to my eyes. They kind of fixed me up, so to speak, and made a couple modifications, and I've been able to see for most of my life. At one point, they got it so good I can even drive a car. Oh, that sounds scary now. Yeah. And unfortunately, glaucoma, which is the medical condition I have, which is basically, if you think of your eyes like a balloon, my balloon gets a little too filled with air sometimes. And so they had to do some stuff to make sure my balloon didn't pop. Make sense? So, anywho's, because of that, I use different mobility aids that allow me to do a lot of the same things you guys do. So I can go to the store, get groceries when I need them, I can read, I can write, I can use a computer, I get around just fine. However, I can't drive a car. I get Ben for that.
And his fiance, which is his DD.
Yeah, my designated driver. So anyway, so this, again, is my guide dog Philbin. This is what I use primarily for my mobility. But before I kind of get into all that, I kind of wanted to share some things. Do you guys happen to know what Braille is? Has everyone ever said the word Braille to you and what that means? Yes. Do you know what it is?
It means like you read with your fingers through dots. Like 1 dot means A, 2 dots mean B, and 3 dots mean C, and stuff like that.
You're very, very close. You're right on the first two. The first dot and the second dot, with the first one being A, the second one being B. However, the letter C is actually dots 1 and 4. So you're very close. Good job. I'm actually impressed. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys what a typical Braille, what we call a Braille cell, looks like. Many blind people or visually impaired people still use this. However, most use adaptive computer technology that allows the computer to read, and then they just use a regular keyboard. But it's still a good idea for people like me to kind of know what Braille is, at least be able to read it. Before I do this, can you guys, anyone know of some places in public where you maybe have seen Braille? Can you guys think of some public places where it would be a good idea to have Braille? Let me ask that. Yes?
At some malls, the elevators, I've seen that it has Braille on them.
Yes, the buttons on the elevator door have Braille on them for visually impaired, so we know which floor we want to go to. Can you imagine that? I hit this, I thought it was number 4. How did I get on floor number 8? That happens a lot. I can actually tell you a funny story. When I didn't use my Braille skills, I was at an ISU football game probably about 10 years ago, and I needed to go to the restroom. And as you know, the restrooms, underneath they have the men and women written out in Braille. Well, I didn't bother reading that. I just assumed. You guys can probably figure out what happened next. I went in the girls' restroom. Yeah. Fortunately, they didn't scream too loud, and they said, "Sir, you're in the women's restroom." And I said, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry." And I turned around and I quickly walked back out. Luckily enough, I had my cane with me. Otherwise, that would have been even more of an awkward. So what a Braille is, basically, is a series of 6 dots that make up what we call a Braille cell. So I'm going to write down number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And so each one of these would be, this is a full Braille cell, each one of those 6 dots. And so, let's say I wanted to, we don't have enough time for me to go through the entire alphabet, but what I will tell you is, for example, how do I write my name in Braille? Well, first off, there's a symbol called a cap symbol, which is simply just .6, which is this guy up here, and OD, which would be dots 1, 3, and 5. The letter D would be 1, 3, or 1, 4, excuse me, and 5. And then I would be dots 2 and 4, and E is dots 1 and 5. So that is roughly what my name would look like in Braille. What is your name?
Him.
Yeah, yes.
I'm Carter.
Carter? How do you spell that? Make sure I get it right.
C-A-R. No. Yeah.
You sure? I think R sounds right to me.
Tur. And then G.
T, right?
Cat.
No,
That's cod. Oh.
This is what your name looks like in Braille. So we have a C, just a single dot A, 1 for A. You have the 2 R's, as you can see, and then a T and an E. How cool is that? So that is a way that blind and visually impaired people do communicate still if you ever want to write a letter. But honestly, it's kind of like a secret code for blind people. I can write a bunch of messages and hardly anyone will know what I said. But, so next time you guys go out to a public place and you see the dots below a sign, you'll know what they are for. And
elevator. My house, when my apartment, when I go up the elevator, they sew 2, and then at the bottom they sew the number, they sew dots.
which is 2.
yeah. So, as a kind of a takeaway, so you guys can actually see what Braille feels like, can you take one and pass it around? You guys can take one of these, take it home. It has and this too. Here, just take the whole thing.
No,
And then take one and pass it down.
Pass it around.
take one
Pass
and
them around.
pass it down.
And so all in that card, at the bottom, you'll see all the alphabet, and it has the print number and letter beside it. And at the bottom, if you get really good, there's a secret message at the bottom.
Thank you. I cannot read this.
So, basically that's one way how blind and visually impaired people communicate. Another,
This is A, this is B, this is C.
another way that blind and visual people, hey guys, listen up.
Quiet. Sit down. Ethan, wanna leave?
So another way, guys, okay. Another way that blind and visual people communicate is through technology. We can use computers and iPads, tablets. You guys have probably used all those fun tools.
I don't have. I don't have this.
But did you guys know that all these devices have built-in technology that is actually for the blind and visually impaired? For example, if you set your iPad right, one thing I can do is I can make everything on the screen a different contrast. Case in point, let's open up like a web page here. And let's say I go to Google. Well, let's say, that I'm on the Google website, and let's say I have a hard time with the contrast. I would prefer the background to be black and the text to be white. I can actually triple tap on the button, and as you can see, it actually inverts the color, so it changes it and makes it
Hey,
easier to see.
Tip it down.
Oh,
They can't
sorry
see
guys.
it.
So it actually makes the colors a higher contrast, making it easier to see. Also, if I turned it on, I don't have the setting turned on currently, but if I turned the setting on, this actually could talk to me, and the iPad would read to me what is being said on the tablet. The other thing that I can do is, let's say I need to magnify it real quick. I can take my fingers and take 3 fingers and then I can move around. Notice how it made it bigger? So I can do that, and that helps me see it better. So that's just another way, and then we just use a regular keyboard.
There you go.
Do you guys have any questions about Braille or how I use assistive technology?
No.
Right, but you can use these to tell you.
Teachers, would you like to, this is also for you guys too, if you guys have any questions that might be helpful for the kids.
Is it hard to learn to read?
What's that?
Is it hard to learn, to read? Do you have to, yeah.
It
Braille,
took, yes, Braille. Braille took me about 4 years to learn. So when I was in middle school and a little bit in high school, I didn't get to take classes like home ec or wood shop, those extra fun classes that you get to take when you get up in grades. I actually ended up going to the library and I had an instructor come, and every day through school for 4 years I had to learn Braille. I actually got all the way up. There's even a Braille language that allows you to read music, read sheet music with Braille. And I got to a point where I could do advanced algebra in Braille. Now I can't do it anymore because I don't use it personally. Since I have some usable vision, I typically will just use a computer, and I don't use a lot of Braille personally in my day-to-day life, but like I said, it's always good to have it. Anyone else have any questions about the Braille or communicating? We're good? Okay. If you guys ever have any questions, feel free to raise your hands, and I'll call on you, okay? So there is one more piece of technology that I brought to share with you guys. So let's say that I do have a sheet of paper. Let's say Braille's not available for me, and I need to be able to see something. I borrowed this, so I can't let you guys pass it around or look at it too much. But this is a handheld digital magnifier. You guys have all seen magnifying glasses, right? And some even have little lights on them. Well, this has a camera on it, and it actually allows me to hold it over a piece of paper, and I can see it, make it bigger, and make it brighter, and I can change the contrast just on a piece of paper. Let's see, I'll turn this on. As you can see, it just has my pants. Can I borrow your piece of paper for just a second? Thank you. So one of the things it can do is it makes things bigger. Yep, okay.
Ethan.
Hey guys, just a few at a time, and then who's seen it back away.
I'm sure if you guys sat in his chairs, he would take you all around to all
Yep.
of you.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you guys go back in your chair and I'll walk this around so you guys can see it. So do you see how it makes the text bigger and easier to read? So this helps me, like when I'm out, let's say at a restaurant, and I need to read the menu.
Guys, be quiet.
So like I said, when I'm out in a restaurant and I need to see like a menu, I would bring something like this along, and this would let me read the menu, and it even has lights on it and everything. So it makes it much easier to see. And in fact, a lot of restaurants have Braille menus.
Don't type so
No,
tough.
hold on, I need that back, sorry. Okay. I wasn't expecting that. I got moshed by kids.
It's Visha, everybody's all on that.
Yeah, that's Misha, right.
I have something to tell you about that, but we'll wait.
There's all kinds of
all the beach celebrations have been canceled.
Hey guys, listen up. So there's all kinds of technology. That's just one piece that I use in my day-to-day life. So, do you guys have any questions about adaptive technology or how I might use technology to help me?
Can you write a Braille letter?
Absolutely. There's entire books in Braille. And I have one at home, I just couldn't find it. But the books are about that thick. And that's usually just a small, like 25 chapter book. They're usually pretty thick. My dad is actually completely blind, and he has the entire Bible in Braille. He is wanting to get the King James, and he has to have an entire bookshelf. Because Braille takes up more space than traditional print, so it has a lot more space and it's a lot thicker.
How big is the Bible that is in Braille?
Like I said, the Bible takes up an entire bookcase. It's I want to
It's a
say
big Bible.
it's like, I think it takes like 75 individual books that are about this thick to do the entire Bible. And my dad had the King James version. And so yeah, that was really something. That I tried looking up stuff in there, and actually when it gets that big, they actually tell you what book and page number. They have it like indexed and everything, otherwise you'd never find anything. But yeah, that's how we do that. Personally though, I have embraced technology, and one thing that I did is, some of you guys may have the Bible app, maybe on a phone. And what I did with my Bible app is I actually made it high contrast, and I made the text bigger within the app. So this is how I read the Bible. Not to mention, the app can actually read me the Bible, different verses and stuff that I want to read. So this is how I would do it, and I can search for it and that. So I know there's a lot of, my pastor always likes to kid, Odie, don't you want a regular Bible? And I said, yeah, but I wouldn't be able to read it.
Yeah.
So, any who's? Do you guys have any questions? Any more questions about how I read or use technology?
No. Honestly,
How does money work?
Ah, money is a good one. Exactly. How do I tell the difference between a $1 bill, a $5 bill, 10, 20? How do I do that? Well, to be honest, I have gotten burned in places because it was dark and I didn't see it. I thought I handed the person a 10 and I ended up handing them a 20, and obviously I lost money. They didn't give me the right change back. So what I do, I should have brought some money with me. Can I borrow? I'm not going to take it, I promise. There's no charge for me talking. Can I borrow like a $1 bill or a $5?
I have a dollar,
You do?
but I don't think I have
Okay.
I don't have it for a second.
I can show the kids how I
I don't have a dollar.
fold. Basically,
Well, if you use my money, this is for Ethan's soccer fundraiser.
can I have my paper back?
I promise I'll give it back to you. Oh, good.
So I
Awesome. So this is a 5. So what I would do, let's say this was a $1 bill, what I might do is I'd take the corner and I'd fold it and I'd slip it into my wallet like that. And so when I get it out, I would actually look for that fold on the sides and I would remember. But typically when I put money in, I would have to, if I couldn't see it, let's say, I would have to rely on someone being truthful with me about what the money originally was, so that I put it in. And coins, like quarters, dimes, and nickels, you can do all that by feeling. Those are all them, but paper money is always harder. So a $1 bill I might fold in the corner. Let's say a 5, I might fold it in half. If it was a 10, I'd fold it like a hot dog. And a 20 I might just stick in the back. And it's always a good idea for blind people to put your money from lowest denomination, so like a 1 up front and 20 in the back. There you go. Thank you.
I didn't have my paper back.
Yeah, me either.
Sorry. There you go.
We've been next to the Braille place.
Alright.
This is our graduation at the.
But, okay, so my real question, even though you answered my question, I have another question. Like, suppose I'm blind and I want to write a letter to my friend who's blind. Is there a way that I can do that?
Yes.
Oh.
There's Perkins braillers. You can do slate and stylus braillers, which is basically just poking it. There's machines. They have, you can type, there's even braille printers. So the same way you would print out like a Word document, you can type it up on a computer, print it out as a brailler, and then you can mail it off just like that. And actually,
Guys,
Quiet, you guys need to pay attention, please.
and actually, I'm just gonna kind of wait for you guys to kind of quiet down, okay? Alright. I appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to me. I just ask that you guys be quiet unless you have a question, okay? Can we do that?
Yeah.
Alright. So, the other cool thing you mentioned with writing the letters, obviously you can braille it out. You can braille full letters. And there's even a way that if you're mailing it to, let's say, a government agency or you're sending in a form, there's actually what they consider free matter for the blind, and you can actually get free postage on your letters based on being the fact that they actually would take it to the post office and you'd say this is free matter for the blind. They mark it and then they send it off and it doesn't actually cost any postage. So yeah. Alright. If there's no other questions, I'll move on to how I get around and navigate where I want to go when I go to shops.
No. So I got a question.
Yes.
How do you know but if you're blind, how do you know how to get to a gate if you can't see a gate?
Okay. Good.
That's what he's gonna go over next.
Yep. So I use sometimes, if I'm not using my guide dog, I'm using this. Does anyone know what this is called?
A cane.
A cane. Exactly. Good. Very good. I just saved myself 5 minutes.
Lily.
So this is a cane. There's nothing special about it. It's made out of fiberglass. Literally, this is actually the same material they use on garden hoses. This is actually the same thing that's on the bottom of your guys' chairs.
What?
I'm not kidding. It's the exact same thing that's on the bottom of your chairs, the little base part. So this is what I would use. Has a little handy chain to wrap around my wrist so I don't drop it or lose it. And basically, when I'm walking, I would navigate and I would do basically a side-to-side motion. Being blind or visually impaired, you do have to get a good sense of your surroundings. It takes time to learn that. And as a blind person, we're never shy to ask for help if we're in a new place. Yes?
We figured it out. This is written in Braille. Can you read it?
Yay! Awesome! Good job! I'm very impressed. This is written in Braille. Can you read it? You guys are really smart. Good job. All right.
I can read this thing. I can
So
read
you
it.
go.
A, B, C.
All right, guys.
I can know this.
Please. Shh. Okay. So when I'm using a cane, I want to go from shoulder to shoulder because I don't want to clip my shoulder on anything. But I need to find something. So if I'm going to go and find one of your guys' chairs, and let's say I'm not looking, I'm not going to hurt you, I promise. I'm going to find it, and my cane's going to tap it. And what that tapping means, I found something. Now, I got to verify what it is. So I might reach down, kind of feel around, make sure I know what it is. Oh yeah, it's a chair. Is that the chair I wanted? No, keep going. You know.
What if it was a wild animal?
Wild animal. Well, I suppose
You probably hear it.
I probably would, unless it's sneaky. And in case I might whack it with my cane. Be like, go away. And whack it.
Go away, go away.
So when I'm doing that, yep, so I would find things based on tactile. So I've actually got a challenge for one of you guys. Let's make this. I got an idea. Whoever I can see who's the quietest while I talk about my guide dog, I have a special challenge for you, and you'll get a reward for it. See that candy? Ben, remember the place I told you to go put this? Good catch. You guys have to be quiet.
Always be ready for a blind person throwing something.
Thanks, Ben. So, whoever is the quietest, probably for the next 5 minutes or so, we'll get to do a special challenge. And that candy, some of it at least, I don't think all of it, will be your reward. But you have to be quiet in order to participate in the challenge. I'm going to pick one person to do it, okay? Alright. So the cane is obviously one method that I can use to get around by tapping and figuring out where I want to go with it. But I do have to have a lot of self-awareness. Now you see my guide dog Philbin here. He is a 6-year-old yellow Labrador. I've had Philbin for over 4 years. And he has been my partner. He's actually saved my life twice. Both my fiance and I at one time. What Philbin did was Philbin's trained to find curbs, escalators, stairs, keep me walking straight so I don't start walking to the side and make the police officer wonder if I'm okay. And yes, Philbin, I'm talking about you. So he's going to keep me walking. Now the difference is I'm not going to be feeling the tactile stuff. Philbin's going to pull me around and keep me going until I get to where I want to go. It's up to me to tell him left, right, forward, halt, stop. It's up for me to tell him all of those things. He can't, if I told him, I want to go to the store. Well, he doesn't know where the store is. It's up to me to know where it is still. He can't do that. That's not what Philbin's job is. Philbin's job is to help me while I know my route, the route that I want to take to get where I'm going. His job is to make sure that I don't run anything on that route. Now Philbin's not perfect. He has ran me into a couple poles. I think purposely sometimes. But otherwise he's a very good dog. And yes, when he's at home, I know someone's going to ask this, he does not have to wear his harness at home. He is just a regular house pet dog when we're at home. He's gotten into the trash, he's peed on the carpet, he's done all kinds of doggy-ish things, but it's all worth it because he saves me so much time when I'm trying to get from point A, because instead of having to figure it out tactile-wise or physically where it's at, he just pulls me right around it. And eventually, if you do the same route, like I used to walk from my home to where I worked, he knows that route. And eventually, he kind of knows where I want to go. And I barely have to give him any directions eventually. But that comes with a lot of time. Would you guys like to see some Philbin's obedience? I won't be able to work him. And also, if you guys are good and quiet at the end, you guys will get to pet him. Yay! Alright. Can I get that little cup of goldfish, please? Philbin, being the end of the day, is very sluggish, and I want him to be perky. Get back here. He knows what the cut means. He knows I've got something. Alright, so one thing that we always have to do, with a guide dog, it takes constant training so he doesn't forget what to do. So I'm going to take his leash. Philbin, sit. Good boy. Good boy. Philbin, lay down. Down. It's like after I finish eating. Lay down. Good boy. You want it? You want it? You gotta get him kind of excited. Philbin, sit. Good boy. No, we're not begging. Philbin, stay. Alright. Philbin, heel. Good. He'll come up right beside me. Heel means that he comes up and his feet are even with my feet. And he's standing right by my side in the ready position. Philbin always works on the left. He doesn't work on the right. That's how he's trained because he has to have enough depth perception to pull us around obstacles. So he has to judge not only for himself to go around the obstacle, but he also has to allow enough room for me to go around the obstacle. And if there's not enough room, so you can give yourself sores. If there's not enough room to go around an obstacle, then he's trained to stop. He's going to stop, be like, I have no way to get you around this, figure it out. So that's my job to kind of reach forward and then tactile with my hands, figure out why did he stop. And if he didn't stop for a good reason, I say, Philbin, hop up. And hop up means basically go back to work, refocus. And it usually might involve a leash correction. So let's do a little bit more obedience. Philbin, sit. Good. Please don't bite my hand off. Philbin, stay. Philbin, lay down. Good boy. Philbin, sit. Good. Philbin, stand up. I didn't say get your butt back over there. Stay. Sit. So the biggest thing is if Philbin doesn't quite do what I asked him to, or he tries to do more because he thinks he'll get a reward, I have to correct him and put him back in the previous position so he knows that that's not okay. Philbin, stand up. Good. Notice how he didn't try and come towards me that time. So I'm going to give him a treat for that. And this is all really, really important that I do every other day or at the very least once a week, now that Philbin's getting older. Philbin, heel. Good. Alright. Now I'm going to get him to do a couple stupid dog tricks for you guys. Stupid dog tricks. Philbin, sit. Shake. Good. Other paw. Good. Philbin, beg. Good. Okay. And when I say okay, he knows that means he's kind of free to be wild and goofy. It's kind of like when a teacher says, it's playtime. Can you guys give Philbin a good round of applause for demonstrating? I'd like to go over just real quickly some of Philbin's equipment. So of course we have a leash. This leash is not a normal leash. It actually separates to make a long leash, and there's a couple rings around it. And I use these for different techniques. So usually when I'm doing obedience and I have a little bit more area to work with, I would do what we call a long leash. And when I'm working Philbin, I have him on a short leash. Philbin also has a head collar called a gentle leader. This is not a muzzle. He can open up his mouth and eat and do all those things. It just makes it so I don't have to correct him as hard. So when I'm out, I can give him a gentle tug instead of having to give him a yank. This is Philbin's harness, and it just easily clips onto him. I know you're itchy. And it has his thing so everyone knows that he's from Guide Dogs for the Blind. And I have a pouch here that I keep extra poop bags because you never know. And I had the sign here. Now the sign is very important. This is the last thing I want you guys to know about a guide dog. It is very, very important that if you see someone with a guide dog, you can go up to them and ask if you can pet their dog, but you cannot, and I emphasize this, do not go up and start petting the dog. Can anyone give me an idea of why it would be a bad idea to come up and pet the dog? Okay, we'll go around the room. Yes?
It will bite you.
No, that is not true. Philbin will not bite anyone. He's not trained like that. He won't hurt you in any way. I'll kind of get to a little bit more of that and what would happen later on the official. Yes?
It's really rude.
It is kind of rude. It's kind of like someone going up and messing with your stuff without permission, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you have a question? No? Okay. Yes.
Go.
By the way, I like your pants. That's cool camo.
The dog, if he got excited, it could push the person into the road.
That is very true. That is probably pretty close to a good example. Yes.
The dog could get distracted from doing his important job.
Very good. Yes.
The dog can get too happy and play a lot and run out of his leash and bump you into the road.
Exactly, yes. You guys have some really good examples. That's pretty much right on the nose. Philbin is trained to work for me. Now, as you can tell, he is still a dog. So any outside distractions or influences could actually put us in danger. You know, for example, he could kind of push me in the road or be distracted and I could run into something and I could seriously hurt myself. Philbin is there to kind of protect me from those things. That's his job. It's very, very important that you don't distract a working dog. They are there to help a person get around mobility-wise. It's very hard. I know Philbin is very cute and I get it a lot that people just want to pet him so much. But you have to ask. And please, and it's always good if the person says no, that means no. And they may not be able to tell you why, but most likely it's because they're either busy, they're in the middle of doing something, they are training or working with the dog, and they need full concentration. But sometimes, if someone's just kind of sitting on a park bench or that, and they're not, and the dog's just kind of sitting there or laying there, you can go up and ask the person if they can pet, and I can't promise you, but more than likely if they're just laying there, they'll probably say yes, because the dogs are very social creatures. They love attention. They like to be able to play. Do you have another question?
If you forgot to tell us one more trick that they can do. They can put something down and put a hoop, then they can jump over it.
Philbin's not trained to do that, like the agility courses that you see dogs do on TV. Philbin can't do those things. The other thing that I wanted to share with you guys is you had mentioned that the dog would bite you if you come up to it. That is absolutely not true. However, could you imagine? Philbin, stop. Lay down. Philbin, down. Could you imagine, let's say someone came up behind me and tried to attack me or take my wallet or keys and that. Could you imagine if you were like with your parents and someone did that, you might have the tendency, you'd want to protect them, right?
Yes.
Or?
Yes.
Yes?
Say yes.
Say yes.
I would hope
Want
so.
to. Now some would say, no, you run away and you tell a person. Some people would do that. With Philbin, it could go either way just the same. Philbin could either kind of be really timid and kind of run away. I wouldn't know if he'd necessarily go tell someone, but his other intention may be to protect me. They're not trained to do that or bite people or defend me if they see that I'm being attacked. They're not trained to do that. However, I have seen cases where someone did attack someone with a guide dog and the guide dog did turn around and bite them. I have seen that. So the official word on this is the dog is not trained to attack people and to defend its owner. But it's the same concept as if someone was hurting your parents or something like that. You kind of want to do something to protect them. Well, Philbin's been with me so long, I'm kind of like his daddy. He kind of looks at me like his parent or guardian because I caretake for him. I'm his caretaker. I feed him, I take him out, I play with him. So he has a lot of devotion to me. He's very much bonded with me is what we call it. And so that's pretty much about Philbin. Do you guys have any questions about Philbin? Anything I can tell you a little bit more about? Teachers? Yes?
How long do they have to go to school, the dogs?
Philbin trained for the first year and a half of his life. As soon as he was weaned off the mother, he went to a puppy raiser, and the puppy raiser taught him basically the same thing I just demonstrated in here. They taught him social skills, how to be good in public, to mind a little bit of his manners, to basically just to be socialized and do those basic. And then once they're done with that, if they pass that, then he goes on to the full guide dog school where he trains for another 6 months. And then that's where he gets to do all the cool things and learns to find things, and we do a lot of targeted practice. I actually went out to California for a month and trained with Philbin. That's how long it took. You have a question again?
Does he know how to swim?
Philbin is actually afraid of water. That's one of the things that the dogs are trained to pull me around, is if there's a puddle or ice or a big pile of snow, he is trained to pull me around those. And as a result, he's kind of developed a phobia of water. I haven't exactly figured out why, but he is afraid of water. Good question. Yes?
My dog's afraid of water too.
Oh, yes?
My dad says bath time, he runs away.
I will let you know, Philbin absolutely loves the bath. We take him to a groomer in Ames, and he just loves it. And then when he sees me come to pick him up, he's like, I don't want to go with you, I'm going to stay here. He gets very good. Philbin actually gets a bath about once a month. And yeah, he's very good. He always gets his nails trimmed. We have to make sure the dogs are always groomed to perfection, because if a dog is very sloppy, muddy, a business owner does have the right to ask me to remove the dog if it's becoming a distraction or interfering with the business activity. And there's only actually a couple places Philbin can't go.
What?
What's? You had a question? Someone?
No, I just said what? To why you couldn't take him somewhere.
What? Yeah, surgical areas and hospitals, because they're super sterile. I can't take Philbin into an ICU unit at a hospital because of the risk of infection. And so those are kind of places. The other place I can't take Philbin is in the back kitchen area of a restaurant. He is not allowed in the kitchen, and that's for food safety reasons, because you wouldn't want dog hair in your food, and it would be possible. So those are just a couple places. There's a few other places. You know, it may not be the best idea to take your dog to a big, loud rock concert. Those are kind of places because it hurts their ears. You just kind of have to use common sense on where's a good place to take him, where's not, you know, and that's why I have so many mobility tools available to me, is because I may not be able to use one of those tools to get around. Yeah. Do you guys have any questions?
I do. Does he like to eat medicine?
Does he like to eat medicine?
Yeah.
I usually have to trick him. He has had to have medicine every once in a while, and I have to put it inside like food or a little kibble with it, and then he'll eat it. Otherwise, yes, he has spit out medicine. He doesn't like it. It's kind of like kids, you know, you guys don't like to take medicine even though it's good for you.
I like medicine. Me too. I
Melody, one of the staff has a question.
Yes.
Just out of curiosity, if you by chance know, where do these dogs come from? Do they come from like a shelter? Do they come from different programs?
These dogs are
Breeders?
breed.
Okay.
They're very much
Okay.
bred. There's actually a big DNA strand genetic line,
Sure.
and they get dogs from all over the world. There's all kinds of schools that share dogs and share genetic traits. They really try hard to rule, like if a dog gets heart disease later on or they get hip dysplasia, they try and limit that genetic line. So they take like the purest lines possible that have been shown not to have chronic illnesses,
Sure.
and then they breed based on that. So that's very selective breeding, and actually, even after all the dogs, at guide dogs, they typically have over 300 dogs at any given time. That graduate, I believe, close to 400 guide dog teams every year. And believe it or not, only 40% of the dogs that actually go through any of the training actually make it as guide dogs. It's very selective. And so, the Philbin does have one chronic thing, and as you've noticed, he's been kind of itchy. He has allergies, environmental allergies, and we have special medication that we give him to help treat him, but he does kind of get itchy, especially in the spring, from different pollens and grass, kind of like we do. So, any other questions before we get to the challenge?
Not playing around.
Yes.
Some, like, when you said, to protect, when that dogs, some dogs protect their owner, police dogs are trained for that. a lot.
Police dogs are go through a very different training. I don't know a whole lot about it. However, those dogs are trained to be aggressive on command because they have to apprehend people. Philbin actually did do some what you would call police dog work when I got him. I was in college, and let's just say another student brought in some illegal stuff that is very much illegal and not a good thing. And Philbin was actually able to pick up on that scent and became obsessed over it. And as soon as I let him out of my dorm room, he actually traced it, and we were able to figure out who had the illegal substance in their dorm room. And ever since then, no one brought anything illegal in because they knew Philbin would find it. He wasn't trained for that. He just sort of an instinctual kind of sniff thing. Anyone question?
Yeah, staff.
Steph?
Is there a limit to how many years they can be a service dog? Or
No.
you just go by health?
No, it's there's no real limit. However, you just sort of know it over time. I had Philbin when he was 1.5 years old, and now he's 6. Obviously, he slowed down quite a bit, and eventually, you know, he may develop some medical issues that would require him to be retired. But it's really a case by case. But I would say on average, their dogs work for about 10 years. And then they're retired. And then at that point, I have the option to keep Philbin as a pet, or I can give him to his puppy raisers, or the school has an adoption program. And there's a 3 to 4 year waiting list for those dogs, because imagine, your dog never really getting in too much trouble. They know their sits and stays and commands. Having a perfectly trained dog when you first bring it home, you can imagine there's a lot of people who love it. And it takes a lot of donors to pull it off. Philbin is priceless to me, but if you guys had to have a price tag on what it costs to train, it's up to about $70,000 per dog. Which, to give you guys a retrospective, your parents' car probably doesn't cost as much as Philbin did. So anyway, so that's what it takes. I believe their operating budget is like $36 million a year. And they obviously are in San Francisco. There's a lot of wealthy donors. And the school where I got Philbin doesn't take any federal money nor state money. It's all private donorships. And at one point, they had a Ford dealership who actually donated a fleet of vehicles for them to transport the dogs. So it takes a lot of generosity like that. So if any of the adults are interested, you guys can go to guidedogs.com and you guys can get more information about the programs and stuff. Okay, I think it's time you guys have actually settled down. Thank you for that. So now I'm going to let, because I don't want to be the bearer of bad news to the rest of you guys, I'm going to let the staff pick which kid they think did the best job and would be a good fit for this challenge.
I'm gonna give my authority to Ben.
Oh, yeah. No.
Well, I'd say the younger ones have been the most quiet.
I was gonna say the younger ones have been really quiet.
Jackson, Maddox, Olivia. What do you guys think? Which one?
I could probably, it would have to be one at a time, but I
Jackson has not said a word all night.
Okay. Jackson, would you like to do a challenge? I'll tell you what the challenge is, and if you don't feel comfortable doing it, you don't have to. Jackson, you want to come up, and I'll tell you what it is? Where is Jackson? Okay.
Jackson's one of the little ones. Jackson's the one that doesn't say anything.
And this cane is
That's why you can't see
about
them.
your size. I think this will work great. So Jackson, here's your challenge. All right, we're going to do Mission Impossible. All right. Your challenge is to put the shades on you won't be able to see. And one of the staff, either Ben or you guys can go with them. Actually, probably need to be Ben since you know where the stash is. And you're going to actually use the cane, and you're going to find where I'm going to tell you where it is, but you have to find your way there. And you're going to be sleep shade. These are just sleep shades. And if you ever get really uncomfortable or scared, you can take them off at any time. But I want you to try and use these and use the cane to kind of, I'm going to show you basically how to use it. Do you feel okay with that? You think you could find it? Or do you feel kind of nervous or scared? No? All right.
He's a Holland. They never
Jackson,
are.
right? Jackson, why don't we give Jackson a round of applause for doing this? This is kind of... All right, Jackson, I'm going to turn around, bud. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to use the cane. So when you're using the cane, you want to hold it right in front of you, front and center. All right? Hold it like you would kind of hold, think like you're holding a water gun. Don't, that's the first rule. Don't ever raise it up high like that. You're not going to be able to do it. You got to figure out what's on the ground. So what I want you to do is I want you to slide it back and forth, keep your hands centered, and you're going to find things. Now, do you know where the sanctuary is, the front pew? Do you think you could walk from here to there? All right. That's your job. You're going to wear the sleep shades, and you're going to walk all the way from here to the front sanctuary, and your job is to find the candy on the front pew.
FYI, the door to the sanctuary is closed, so you need to open the door.
Yes, you'll have to find the door, open it, go inside, go all the way to the front, and you're going to bring the stash of candy that Ben left there for you. You got it? Do you have any questions? And one of the staff's going to be with you, so don't let him, hurt himself. He shouldn't. But basically, remember, you got to hold it right in front of you. So as you take a step, put your right foot forward. As you put your right foot forward, you're going to move the cane to the left, because now you got to figure out what's going on over here, right? All right, now put your left foot forward.
Then stop bringing.
And then put your cane over the right, because now you got to re-figure out if there's anything over here on your right. You don't have to go this far out, okay? And remember, we got to keep your hand right in the middle. Here, let me go with my cane. I'll show you. All right, take a look at this, Jackson. See how I'm holding my cane? You can use both hands if you want, if it'll help you keep it centered. But typically, you just want to have it right in front of you, okay? And then as you put your left foot forward, you put your cane to the right. If you put your right foot forward, move your cane to the left. Got it? And if you bump into something, it's okay to put your hand out and figure out what it is. And like I said, if you ever get scared or uncomfortable, you can take it off, okay? All right. Am I making anyone else nervous in here?
No, I'm just playing with a doll.
John, what's your question?
Can we follow him?
Oh.
Can we follow him?
I'll leave that up to the staff if you guys...
Can we? If we don't tell him it, let it.
You have anything else to go over with them?
Yeah, one of the staff needs to go over with them, but other than
No,
that...
do you have anything else to talk about?
I, at this point, was going to let the kids come up and pet the dog. You can stop the video if you want. Hi again, this is Odie Lofton. I just want to thank all the kids at that youth group and all the volunteers that it takes to pull that group off. They do good things there, and I'm very excited and very honored that they invited me in to talk to the kids there. For privacy reasons, I cannot disclose where the video was taken or the name of the youth group. Any of the kids that were named were by first name, so that's just protect them. But it was a great opportunity. Parents and anyone who's watching this video and deals with young children, it's a very good idea to have them watch this video for a couple reasons. A lot of kids do get misconceptions about blind people and what it means to be blind. And even for adults, it's always good to know what's out there and how much people like me who are legally blind can actually function and carry on a normal life just like everyone else. Well, again, in this video, we couldn't cover everything. And I, by all means, would not consider myself to be, an expert, first-rate expert, but I am blind. So that gives me kind of some credibility. I know what it's like, and I'm happy to share it with those who would be listening. And that's why, for educational purposes, this video will be put on YouTube and shared on social media platforms. Thank you again to everyone who invited me, all the people at that youth group, and it was a really fun experience. And as you can see in this video, Jackson did figure out where the candy was on that front pew. And so that was really cool, and to get to see all the kids kind of teamwork to help them out. And I really hope that this kind of serves as a lesson that it can be done, and all of the materials are easy to find. If you can't find a cane for a child-sized cane, like a yardstick, those are just regular sleep shades. Those work just fine, or a blindfold, anything like that. And just follow the basic techniques that I did in there, and it really is a good experience for them to see what it's like to kind of overcome those obstacles and be able to get around and function just like everyone else. And it's really cool because the kids who were helping Jackson figure out where he needed to go were all around and really trying to help, and that was really cool to see how excited they were. I am affiliated, again, as like I said at the beginning of the video, with two groups. I'm affiliated with the Iowa Department for the Blind. They did a lot of my training, so a lot of what I know came from them. Also, Philbin, my guide dog, came from Guide Dogs for the Blind. They are located in San Rafael, California. To get more information on guide dogs in particular, you can go to guidedogs.com. The Iowa Department for the Blind, their offices are located in downtown Des Moines. I don't have a web address necessarily just straight for them, but you can get more information just by Googling. So, appreciate it. Thank you. And I'm happy to answer any questions related to blindness or the techniques or technology. Feel free to put those into the comments section. Thank you again. And I also want to reiterate, this video is for educational purposes and for the privacy of the kids. No names other than a few first names were ever disclosed. And just appreciate that. And thank you.
Get your hand out. Put your hand out. No, on the chair. On the pew. On the pew. On the pew. On the pew. Okay. Throw yourself low.